In a distant part of the galaxy, on a planet called Valo 7, life thrived in vibrant colors. The Kryn, tall beings with shimmering blue skin and large, curious eyes, lived peacefully among forests that glowed softly at night. For centuries, their elders told stories around campfires about creatures from the stars, beings called humans. These tales described humans as fierce yet clever travelers who once roamed the cosmos. But to the Kryn, these were just myths, like children's bedtime stories meant to spark imagination. Lyra was different. She wasn't content to let the old tales fade into whispers. A young scientist with a sharp mind and endless curiosity, she spent her days studying the skies through massive telescopes built into the cliffs of her homeland. Her colleague, Ven, often joined her. He was more skeptical, preferring logic over legend. "Humans are just stories," he would say, shaking his head as Lyra scribbled notes late into the night. "Nothing but fairy tales our ancestors made up." But something changed recently. Strange signals had started appearing in the outer edges of their star system. At first, they seemed random, bursts of energy flickering like fireflies in the void. But Lyra noticed patterns. Tiny shifts in frequency, repeated sequences, and rhythms that felt deliberate. It wasn't natural, and it wasn't coming from any known source. One evening, as the twin suns of Valo 7 dipped below the horizon, Lyra sat hunched over her data console. Her fingers moved quickly across the glowing screen, pulling up charts and graphs. Ven leaned against the doorway, arms crossed. "You're wasting your time," he said, though his tone hinted at curiosity. "Even if there is something out there, what makes you think it's them?" Lyra didn't look up, because the patterns matched the descriptions in the archives. "Look." She pointed to an ancient text displayed on another monitor. The symbols etched into the stone tablet mirrored the signal frequencies almost perfectly. "This isn't coincidence." Ven frowned, stepping closer. "If it is real, why now? Why after all this time?" Before Lyra could answer, alarms blared throughout the research facility. Both scientists froze, then rushed to the main observation deck. On the giant view screen, a fleet of ships appeared at the edge of their sensors. Sleek and metallic, they bristled with technology far beyond anything the Kryn possessed. They moved silently, purposefully, like predators stalking prey. "They're here," Lyra whispered, her voice trembling. Not with fear, but awe. Ven gripped the railing tightly. "What do we do?" News of the sighting spread rapidly across Valo 7. Some Kryn panicked, fearing invasion. Others grew angry, demanding action against whatever, or whoever, had dared enter their space. Meanwhile, aboard one of the mysterious ships, Captain Ryan Cole stood on the bridge, gazing at the lush green planet below. His crew buzzed around him, checking instruments and relaying updates. "We've got their attention," said Commander Elena Grant, standing beside him. Her expression was calm but cautious. "Now we wait." Ryan nodded. Humanity had come so far since leaving Earth behind. They'd faced countless challenges, forged alliances, and survived wars. But this was new. The Kryn weren't supposed to exist, at least not according to their records. Yet here they were, living proof that the universe held secrets even humanity couldn't predict. As both sides prepared for what came next, neither knew how much their lives, and their futures, would change. What began as forgotten tales and strange signals would soon become something neither side could have imagined. The beginning of a story written in stars and steel. Back on Earth, humanity had grown beyond its small blue planet. Generations ago, explorers left the solar system in search of new worlds and answers to ancient questions. They found ruins, artifacts, and traces of civilizations long gone. One such artifact, a small stone tablet covered in strange symbols, became the key to unlocking the mystery of the Kryn. Scientists worked tirelessly to decode the markings, and when they succeeded, they discovered something incredible. The symbols matched patterns in signals coming from deep space. Commander Elena Grant stood in the briefing room of the flagship Odyssey addressing her crew. Her voice was steady, but there was no hiding the weight of what she was about to say. "We've confirmed it," she began, glancing at the holographic map floating above the table. "The signals are coming from a star system matching the coordinates encoded in the artifact. Whoever, or whatever, is out there knows we're coming." Captain Ryan Cole listened intently, his arms crossed. He trusted Elena's judgment, but this mission carried risks they couldn't ignore. Humanity had faced hostile species before, and not every encounter ended peacefully. Pilot Daniel Hayes, sitting nearby, leaned forward. "Do we know if they're friendly?" he asked, his brow furrowed. "Or are we walking into a trap?" Elena shook her head. "We don't know yet, but we can't turn back now. This could be our chance to form an alliance. A real one. Something that might help us protect Earth and its colonies." The room fell silent as the crew absorbed her words. For years, humanity had struggled to find allies among the stars. Some species were too different to understand, others too dangerous to approach. The idea of meeting a civilization like the Kryn, one that seemed advanced yet peaceful, was both exciting and terrifying. As the fleet neared Valo 7, tensions grew aboard the ships. Claire Bennett, the ship's lead engineer, spent hours running diagnostics on the weapons systems. She didn't trust the unknown, and neither did many of her colleagues. What if they attack first? She asked during a late-night conversation with Daniel. "We can't afford to be unprepared." Daniel sighed, staring out the viewport at the endless expanse of stars. "I get it, but if we go in guns blazing, we'll destroy any chance of peace before it even starts." Claire frowned but said nothing. She knew he was right, but that didn't make her feel any better. On Valo 7, Lyra and Ven worked around the clock to analyze the approaching fleet. The Kryn Council debated how to respond. Some argued for diplomacy, while others pushed for defense. Fear spread among the population, fueled by rumors of human aggression. Torin, a military leader with a sharp tongue and sharper instincts, warned against trusting outsiders. "They come with machines and weapons," he declared during a heated council meeting. "Why else would they travel so far?" Lyra tried to reason with him, but Torin wouldn't listen. "We don't know their intentions," she insisted, "but attacking them without cause will only bring disaster." Ven agreed, though he shared some of Torin's concerns. "We need more information," he said. "Let's send a delegation to meet them. If they mean harm, we'll have time to prepare." The council finally reached a decision. A small team, led by Lyra and Ven, would board a shuttle and approach the human fleet. It was a risky move, but they had no other choice. As the shuttle lifted off from Valo 7's surface, Lyra felt a mix of hope and dread. What would they find aboard those strange ships? Were the humans truly as dangerous as Torin claimed, or were they simply explorers, like the Kryn themselves? Meanwhile, aboard the Odyssey, Ryan and Elena prepared to greet their visitors. They chose a neutral location within the ship, a large chamber designed for diplomatic meetings. As the shuttle docked, the air buzzed with anticipation. For the first time in centuries, two civilizations separated by myth and distance were about to meet face to face. Neither side knew what the future held, but one thing was certain: nothing would ever be the same again. The moment of first contact arrived with a mix of tension and wonder. The Kryn shuttle docked smoothly with the human flagship, the Odyssey. Lyra and Ven stepped out cautiously, their glowing blue skin and tall forms drawing stares from the humans waiting to greet them. Captain Ryan Cole stood at the front of the group, flanked by Commander Elena Grant and pilot Daniel Hayes. Both sides moved slowly, unsure of what to expect. Ryan took a step forward, raising a hand in what he hoped was a universal sign of peace. "Welcome," he said, his voice calm but firm. Beside him, Elena activated a translation device they had prepared, hoping it would bridge the language gap. To everyone's relief, the device worked. Lyra tilted her head, listening carefully as the machine translated Ryan's words into her own language. "We come in peace," Ryan continued. "We mean no harm." Lyra exchanged a glance with Ven before responding. Her voice was soft but steady. "We have heard stories of your kind. Stories we thought were myths." She paused, choosing her next words carefully. "Why are you here?" Elena stepped forward, holding up the ancient stone tablet they had decoded. "This led us to you. We believe our peoples share a connection through the past. We seek understanding, not conflict." Ven studied the tablet, his expression unreadable. "You speak of peace, yet your ships carry weapons. How can we trust you?" Daniel shifted uncomfortably, glancing at Ryan. The question hung heavy in the air. It was a fair point. The humans' advanced technology could easily be seen as a threat. Ryan hesitated, then gestured toward the room around them. "Our weapons are for protection, not aggression. We've faced enemies in the stars, just as you have. But today, we offer friendship." Lyra seemed to consider this, her large eyes scanning the faces of the humans. She turned to Ven, speaking quietly in their native tongue. After a brief exchange, she nodded. "We will share knowledge, but slowly. Trust must be earned." For the next hour, both groups exchanged basic information about their worlds and cultures. The humans explained how Earth had grown beyond its limits, spreading across the galaxy in search of new opportunities. The Kryn described Velos 7, their peaceful society, and their deep respect for nature. Despite their differences, there were moments of connection. Shared laughter over misunderstandings, nods of agreement when discussing the beauty of the stars. But not everything went smoothly. Tensions flared when Ven asked about Earth's history of war. "Your kind fights often," he said, his tone sharp. "How do we know you won't turn on us?" Elena answered honestly. "We've made mistakes, yes, but we're trying to build a better future. That's why we're here, to learn, not to conquer." Lyra placed a hand on Ven's arm, signaling him to soften his tone. She addressed Ryan. "We will take your words back to our people. But know this, if you betray us, there will be consequences." The meeting ended shortly after, with promises to continue talks in the days ahead. As Lyra and Ven returned to their shuttle, they couldn't shake the feeling that humanity was far more complex than the legends had led them to believe. Back aboard the Odyssey, the crew gathered to discuss the encounter. "They don't trust us," Daniel said, breaking the silence. "Can you blame them? We showed up uninvited with an entire fleet." Ryan nodded. "Trust takes time. But we've taken the first step. That's what matters." Elena looked thoughtful. "They're scared, just like we are. If we can show them we're sincere, maybe we can build something real." As the shuttle carrying Lyra and Ven descended back to Velos 7, both sides knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. Misunderstandings and doubts lingered, but so did hope. For the first time, humans and Kryn stood face to face, ready to write a new chapter in their shared story. What happened next would shape the destiny of both civilizations, and perhaps the galaxy itself. Back on Velos 7, whispers about the humans spread quickly. The Kryn were divided. Some saw the visitors as a chance for growth and learning, while others viewed them as a threat to their peaceful way of life. Torin, the military leader, was among the loudest voices calling for caution and action. He gathered his followers in a large meeting hall, pacing back and forth as he spoke. "They come with ships that block out the stars," Torin said, his voice rising with each word. "Ships filled with weapons we can't even imagine. Do you think they crossed such distances just to talk? No. They want something from us. And when they take it, we'll be left with nothing." His words struck a chord with many. Fear had always been a powerful motivator, and Torin knew how to use it. "We must prepare," he continued. "If we wait too long, it will be too late. Let's show them we're not weak." Lyra and Ven heard about Torin's speech later that evening. They had returned to their research facility, exhausted but hopeful after the meeting aboard the Odyssey. When they learned of Torin's plans, Frustration bubbled to the surface. "He's going to ruin everything," Lyra said, pacing the room. "The humans are watching us closely. If Torin acts without thinking, it could lead to disaster." Ven nodded, rubbing his temples. "He's not wrong to be cautious, but arming ourselves against them now will only make things worse. We need more time to understand their intentions." Meanwhile, aboard the Odyssey tensions were growing among the human crew as well. Claire Bennett, the ship's engineer, voiced her concerns during a strategy meeting. "I don't like this," she said bluntly. "We're sharing too much, too fast. What happens if they turn on us? Or worse, what if they steal our technology?" Commander Elena Grant sighed, leaning forward. "Claire, I get it. Trust is hard. But pulling back now would send the wrong message. They're scared, just like we are. If we shut them out, we'll lose any chance of building an alliance." Captain Ryan Cole listened quietly, weighing both sides. He trusted Elena's judgment, but Claire's worries weren't unfounded. Humanity had faced betrayal before, and the scars ran deep. "We'll proceed carefully," Ryan said finally. "But let's keep our defenses ready, just in case." Pilot Daniel Hayes watched the debate unfold, feeling caught in the middle. He wanted to believe in peace, but he couldn't ignore the risks. That night, he found himself staring out the viewport, lost in thought. A soft voice interrupted his silence. "You look like you've got the weight of the galaxy on your shoulders," said Elena, stepping beside him. Daniel managed a small smile. "Feels like it sometimes. Do you ever wonder if we're doing the right thing?" Elena leaned against the railing, gazing at the stars. "All the time. But sitting here and doing nothing wouldn't fix anything. Sometimes you have to take a leap and hope for the best." Her words stayed with Daniel as he returned to his quarters, but doubts still lingered. Across the void, similar fears echoed in the hearts of the Kryn. Lyra spent hours reviewing the data collected during their meeting with the humans, searching for clues about their true nature. Ven joined her, bringing cups of steaming tea. "We're running out of time," Ven said, setting the tray down. "Torin won't wait forever. If he makes a move, it could destroy everything we've worked for." Lyra nodded, her eyes fixed on the screen. "Then we need to act faster. Show our people that the humans aren't monsters. Prove that peace is possible." As days passed, both sides worked tirelessly to bridge the gap between them. Messages were exchanged, questions answered, and small gestures of goodwill shared. But beneath the surface, unease simmered. Torin's influence grew stronger, and cracks began to form in the fragile trust being built. Neither the Kryn nor the humans realized how close they were to a breaking point, a moment that would test their resolve and determine the fate of their newfound connection. Lyra spent long hours digging through the Kryn archives, searching for answers. The ancient texts were filled with stories of humans, tales passed down through generations. At first, she thought they were just myths, but now she wasn't so sure. One passage caught her eye. It spoke of humans not as travelers or explorers, but as warriors who once clashed with other starfaring races. The words sent a chill down her spine. "Ven," she called out, her voice trembling slightly. "You need to see this." Ven hurried over, his eyes scanning the text. His expression darkened as he read. "This changes things," he said quietly. "If these stories are true, then the humans aren't just wanderers. They've fought wars, destroyed enemies. How do we know they won't do the same to us?" Lyra nodded, her mind racing. She wanted to believe in the humans' peaceful intentions, but the evidence was hard to ignore. "We can't jump to conclusions," she said finally. "These are old tales. People might have exaggerated or misunderstood. We need to ask them directly." Meanwhile, aboard the Odyssey the humans were uncovering secrets of their own. Commander Elena Grant had been studying the Kryn's history, piecing together fragments of information shared during their meetings. What she discovered shocked her. The Kryn weren't always peaceful. Centuries ago, They had waged a brutal war against another species, the Zenari. Though the Zenari were now extinct, remnants of their technology still orbited Velos 7's moons, silent and forgotten. Alina brought the findings to Captain Ryan Cole. They faced conflict too, she explained. Just like us. Maybe that's why they're so cautious. They've seen what war can do. Ryan frowned, leaning back in his chair. So, we're not so different after all. No, Alina agreed. But that also means they might see us as a threat, no matter how careful we are. The next meeting between the two groups was tense. Lyra decided to confront the humans about the ancient texts. When she raised the subject, the room fell silent. Ryan exchanged a glance with Alina before speaking. "We won't deny it," he said slowly. "Humans have fought wars. We've made mistakes. But we're trying to change. That's why we're here, to build something better." Lyra studied him carefully, searching for any sign of dishonesty. "And if someone threatens you, what then?" Ryan hesitated, choosing his words carefully. "We defend ourselves. But we don't seek out fights. Not anymore." Then seemed less convinced. "Your ships carry weapons powerful enough to destroy entire planets. How can we trust you won't use them?" It was a fair question, one the humans couldn't easily answer. Daniel Hayes stepped forward, his tone earnest. "Because we've learned the hard way that violence only leads to more violence. Trust me, none of us wants to go back to those days." The conversation ended without resolution, but both sides gained new insights. The humans realized the depth of the Kryn's fears, while the Kryn began to understand the complexity of humanity's past. Back on Velos 7, Lyra and Ven shared their findings with the Council. Torin, predictably, used the information to fuel his arguments. "They're dangerous," he insisted. "Their history proves it. We must act now before it's too late." But not everyone agreed. Some council members sided with Lyra, urging patience and diplomacy. The divide deepened, threatening to split the Kryn apart. On the Odyssey similar debates raged among the crew. Claire argued for pulling back, while Alina pushed for continued engagement. As tensions mounted, both groups faced a choice: give in to fear and suspicion, or take a leap of faith. Neither path was easy, but the stakes had never been higher. The humans and the Kryn were bound by shared histories of struggle and survival. Whether they could overcome their differences would determine not just their futures, but the fate of the galaxy itself. Tensions finally boiled over when Torin acted on his fears. Ignoring the Council's warnings, he launched a surprise attack against the human fleet. Using experimental weapons developed in secret, he targeted the Odyssey, hoping to cripple humanity's flagship and send a clear message. The Kryn would not be intimidated. On the bridge of the Odyssey, alarms blared as the first wave of energy blasts struck the ship's shields. The crew scrambled to respond, their training kicking in despite the shock of betrayal. Captain Ryan Cole barked orders, his voice steady but urgent. "Evasive maneuvers. Get us out of range." Pilot Daniel Hayes gripped the controls, his hands moving quickly as he guided the massive vessel through a series of sharp turns. Another blast rocked the ship, sending several crew members tumbling to the floor. Among them was Claire Bennett, who hit her head on a console. Blood trickled down her temple, but she forced herself back to her feet, rushing to assess the damage. "Shields are holding. For now," she reported, her voice tight with strain. "But we can't take many more hits like that." Alina Grant stood beside Ryan, her mind racing. "We need to disable their weapons without escalating this further. If we retaliate, it'll only prove Torin right." Ryan clenched his jaw, torn between anger and restraint. He knew Alina was right, but standing down felt impossible while his crew was under fire. Finally, he made a decision. Deploy the shield drones. Neutralize their attacks without harming them. The shield drones were a recent innovation. Small, agile machines designed to absorb and redirect energy blasts. As they launched into space, the tide began to turn. Torin's weapons, powerful but untested, struggled to penetrate the drone's defenses. Realizing his plan was failing, Torin ordered a retreat, leaving the battlefield in frustration. Back on Velo 7, chaos erupted. News of the attack spread quickly, dividing the population even further. Some sided with Torin, believing his actions were justified. Others condemned him, horrified by the violence. Lyra and Ven confronted him publicly during an emergency council meeting. "How could you do this?" Lyra demanded, her voice shaking with anger. "You've endangered us all. The humans showed us no aggression until you attacked them." Torin sneered, his tone defiant. "I did what had to be done. They're predators, waiting for the perfect moment to strike. I won't let them destroy us." Ven stepped forward, his expression grim. "Your fear has blinded you. You've damaged any chance of peace. Is that what you wanted?" The room fell silent as the weight of Torin's actions sank in. Slowly, the council turned against him, stripping him of his command and ordering him to stand trial for his reckless behavior. Though tensions remained high, the majority of the Kryn agreed to continue working toward diplomacy. Aboard the Odyssey, the crew worked tirelessly to repair the damage caused by Torin's assault. Despite the attack, Ryan refused to retaliate. "We came here for peace," he reminded his team. "Let's not lose sight of that." As days passed, both sides took steps to rebuild trust. Lyra and Ven shared data about Torin's weapon technology, helping the humans understand its weaknesses. In return, the humans offered medical supplies and tools to aid the Kryn's recovery efforts. The road ahead was still uncertain, but for the first time, there was hope, not just for coexistence, but for genuine partnership. Through courage and compromise, the humans and the Kryn began to see each other not as enemies, but as allies. Their bond, forged in the fires of conflict, grew stronger with each passing day. Though challenges lay ahead, they faced them together, united by a shared vision of peace among the stars. With time running out, a new sense of urgency gripped both the humans and the Kryn. The attack by Torin had left scars, not just on the Odyssey, but on the fragile trust they had worked so hard to build. Yet, amidst the wreckage, an unexpected partnership began to take shape. Lyra and Claire, two individuals from vastly different worlds, found themselves working side by side in the Kryn research facility. Claire brought human engineering expertise, while Lyra contributed her deep knowledge of Kryn technology. Together, they modified the Kryn's defensive systems using adapted human designs. "If we combine our strengths," Claire explained, her voice calm but determined, "we can create something neither of us could achieve alone." Lyra nodded, her glowing blue hands moving deftly over the control panel. "This isn't just about protecting ourselves. It's about showing that we can work together, even after everything that's happened." Meanwhile, Ven focused on rallying the Kryn people. He traveled across Velo 7, speaking to communities shaken by fear and division. His message was simple: unity was their only path forward. Torin acted out of fear. He told a crowd gathered in a village square, "But fear cannot guide us. We must choose hope instead, and trust that peace is possible." The humans, too, faced challenges within their ranks. Some crew members aboard the Odyssey questioned whether diplomacy was worth the risk. "Every time we extend a hand, someone tries to cut it off," muttered one engineer during a tense meeting. But Alina Grant stood firm, reminding everyone of their mission's purpose. "Yes, there are risks," she said, "but pulling back now would mean giving up, not just on the Kryn, but on the idea that we can find common ground with others in this galaxy." As days turned into weeks, progress became visible. The upgraded defenses gave the Kryn a renewed sense of security, while the humans' restraint earned them cautious respect. Slowly, the atmosphere shifted from suspicion to cautious optimism. But Torin wasn't finished. Stripped of his command and facing trial, he grew desperate. Gathering loyal followers in secret, he plotted one final strike, a massive assault designed to destroy both the human fleet and the Kryn leadership in one fell swoop. Using stolen codes, he hacked into the planet's orbital defense network, aiming to turn its weapons against everyone. When Lyra discovered traces of Torin's plan, panic surged through her. She alerted Ven immediately. "We have to stop him," she said, her voice trembling. "If he succeeds, there won't be anything left to save." Ven wasted no time. He contacted the humans, explaining the situation. Ryan Cole listened intently, his expression grim. "We'll help," he said without hesitation. "Tell us what you need." What followed was a daring operation. Daniel Hayes piloted a small shuttle carrying Lyra and Ven toward Torin's hidden base, dodging patrols and energy fields along the way. Inside the base, they confronted Torin directly. "You're too late," he snarled, activating the weapon system. But Lyra, thinking quickly, used her knowledge of the network to override his commands. With seconds to spare, the attack was neutralized. Back on Valo 7, news of Torin's defeat spread quickly. The Kryn populace turned against him completely, embracing the idea of cooperation with the humans. As the dust settled, both groups realized how close they had come to disaster, and how much closer they had grown because of it. Standing on the bridge of the Odyssey *, Ryan looked out at the glowing green planet below. Beside him, Elena smiled faintly. "It's not perfect," she said, "but it's a start." Far below, Lyra gazed skyward, imagining the stories yet to be written. For the first time, hope outweighed fear. Together, humans and Kryn had taken their first steps toward a future forged in unity rather than conflict. Months had passed since the crisis with Torin, and the bond between humans and Kryn had grown stronger. The scars of conflict still lingered, but they served as reminders of how far both civilizations had come. Together, they began planning for a future that neither could have imagined at the start of their journey. On Valo 7, Lyra stood beside Ven on a hill overlooking the glowing forests. The twin suns painted the sky in hues of orange and pink as ships from the human fleet hovered quietly above. "It's strange," Lyra said softly, her eyes fixed on the distant vessels. "For so long, we thought humans were just stories. Now, they're part of our story." Ven nodded, a small smile tugging at his lips. "And we're part of theirs. That's something worth protecting." The Kryn had embraced the partnership wholeheartedly, sharing their knowledge of nature and energy while learning from humanity's technological advancements. Farms once limited to Valo 7's surface now stretched into orbit, supported by human-designed platforms. In return, the humans gained access to the Kryn's sustainable methods, which promised to help preserve resources across the galaxy. Aboard the Odyssey *, Captain Ryan Cole reflected on the changes within his own crew. The skepticism and fear that had once divided them had given way to a shared sense of purpose. Even Claire Bennett, who had been one of the most vocal critics of the Alliance, now worked closely with Kryn engineers, her initial doubts replaced by admiration. "They're not so different from us," she admitted during a quiet moment with Daniel Hayes. "Just trying to survive, like everyone else." Daniel smiled, leaning back in his chair. "Maybe that's the lesson here. We're all just trying to find our place among the stars." As preparations continued, both groups turned their attention to exploring deeper into the galaxy. With combined resources and expertise, they launched a joint expedition to investigate uncharted systems. The mission wasn't without risks. Unknown dangers lurked beyond familiar borders, but the rewards outweighed the fears. For the first time, humanity and the Kryn faced the unknown together, united by trust and mutual respect. Before departure, a ceremony was held aboard the Odyssey *. Leaders from both sides gathered to mark the occasion. Ryan spoke first, his voice steady but filled with emotion. "This isn't just about exploration. It's about proving that peace is possible, even when the odds seem impossible." Lyra followed, addressing the crowd with quiet confidence. "We've learned that fear can drive us apart, but courage can bring us together. Let this be the beginning of something greater than any of us imagined." The applause that followed was heartfelt, a testament to the hard-won unity between two peoples. As the fleet set course for the stars, hope filled the hearts of all aboard. They carried not only their hopes and dreams, but also the lessons of their shared past, the struggles, sacrifices, and triumphs that had forged their alliance. Far behind them, Velo 7 glowed faintly in the distance, a symbol of what could be achieved when differences were set aside in favor of cooperation. Ahead lay countless worlds waiting to be discovered, challenges yet unseen, and stories yet untold. Together, humans and Kryn ventured into the great unknown, proving that even those dismissed as myths could become legends. Their journey was just beginning, a tale written not in words, but in the light of distant stars. And though the road ahead would undoubtedly test them, they faced it side by side, ready to shape the future together.